businesses that are on the agenda. Item number 1, select a contractor who responded to the City of Temple solicitation for bids for roofing the senior building with architectural shingles or 3-tab shingles in accordance to the job specifications with the project's funding to be on the 2008 SPLOST. Mr. Austin.
Yes, sir. If you remember, when you brought this up at your regular meeting, you wanted a little more time to study it and to look at some information. We did provide each of you with information from the proposals. We received 5 proposals. I do have the file over here with all 5 of those proposals in case you want to refer to anything. The only comment I would make before you make some kind of motion is that in addition to choosing the company that you would want to do this, is you will need to decide whether you want to go with the architectural shingles or with the 3-tab shingles. That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Hear any response? Yes, sir.
I'm prepared to offer a motion, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
I have reviewed all 5 bids. We have one that is within the City of Temple, a company inside the city limits paying for a city business license and city taxes. I put some value on that. It's just a few dollars higher, but there's some other stuff included that there's no charge for. And this would be for the architectural shingles, and it would be the Credit Restoration Group. They are not charging any extra on replacing any of the deck. It would be unlimited as far as the number of sheets of decking. And they're offering a 10-year labor warranty. And that would be for the architectural shingles. Do I need to give the price on the list that they're?
Yes, sir, please.
For the record. And for the record, that would be a cost of $23,770. $23,770. That is what I'm offering for my motion.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor by Mr. Walden, and we'll go with Craig. The architectural shingles. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I got a second by Mr. Rockwell. Any discussion? Yes, sir, Mr. President.
I need to abstain, right? If I'm related to one of the bidders.
Depends on whether your relationship is such that you might be a part of the business or have any relationship with the business owners from a personal or financial standpoint. Do you have?
I'm going to abstain just to be sure.
Okay.
Any more discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
And I abstain.
Mr. Brackman abstains. Got 3 affirmative. Mr. Brackman abstains, so that motion is carried. Update staff report concerning holiday pay for new probationary employees of the City of Temple. Mr. Austin.
You remember that we talked about this at your last meeting, and we do need anything we would do on this would be an ordinance. It really was not time to deal with that between now Christmas and New Year's. We will be after the first of the year looking, of course, at a number of things concerning our employees and policies and procedures. And I would suggest to you no action. We can take it this time. We'll just make sure that that's part of what you consider after the first of the year when we look at things on a broader basis.
Okay. Thank you for your report. Okay, no more old business. We're going to the new. Consider approving a memorandum on the revised base rate used by the firm Harris TBS, preparing the water and sewer bills received at the 1st of December by some small businesses and organizations in the City of Temple, and returning to the use of the same water sewage base applied by Harris in preparing these customer bills early in calendar year 2016. Consider giving a credit to said customers for the difference between the base rate as shown on the water and sewer bills received by the city customers at the 1st of November and then at the 1st of December. consider continuing this moratorium until January the 31st of 2017. Mr. Attorney, the only question I have for you is for you, sir. Can we do a moratorium on something that was passed by Congress?
Yes, sir, you can. And let me just say one other thing while I got the floor. The moratorium may have to be extended. I sent a memo about that, you might remember, past January 31, 2017, because you're going to be doing a rate study, if you might recall. That rate study, you've got RFPs on your agenda tonight to approve. And I would imagine it's going to take beyond January to have that rate study in. But to answer the second part of the question, I guess, Mayor, is the moratorium needs to be to a date certain always. So I would suggest to you the only change would be, number one, you need to grant the moratorium. That's in my memo to you. Number two, I would grant the moratorium to your May meeting. And I would hope certainly you could extend it past that for a short period of time, but I'd hope long before May you're going to have a study in, and we'll have a work session about that, and have all of our financial matters together to make a decision on that.
Okay, so are you wanting to change this wording here, or you want us to pass the one for this January 31st and then do another one in January?
No, sir, I would change it and have the moratorium effective through the May 2017 meeting, or to the May, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Can we
To
just
the
do it? Can we just do it to May the 31st?
Yes, sir, if I was smart enough, I'd have thought of that myself.
All right, I make that motion, Mr.
Got a
Mayor.
motion by Mr. Bratton.
Next, May the 31st,
May the
2017.
31st. Strike out January the 31st and put in May the 31st, 2017. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'm second Mr. Simmons. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Rockwell.
I'm trying to, as Richard says, I'm trying to understand here, what's gonna happen to these bills as of right now, the bills that have already been paid, the bills that are owed currently. I had a business owner give me a bill yesterday that was almost $300, and there was no base rate shown. There's a water usage and a sewer usage rate. There's no base rate shown at all. Previous month was a $40 bill. In the prior 12 months, it was like $35. So it went from $35 to $40 a month, and then it jumps to $300. So I'm trying to understand, did we all of a sudden decide to start charging the businesses what they should be paying off along?
Mr. Osborne may have answered, let me kind of looking at me, so let me give you the kind of the legal answer, and that is whatever happened with an incorrect billing, no question, you just outlined the incorrectness of it. So because it's incorrect, we can't collect it in that fashion. So the reason for the moratorium will have two effects. Anybody who has not paid will be billed under the old system. We'll go back to the old system like you just described what it was before. Number two, anybody who has paid will be credited between what they paid, we use your example of $300, and the bill should have been $40, then they'll be credited that $260 amount going forward until we make decisions about a new rate structure for water and sewer. And let me say, I guess there's a number three too, Todd, and that is that we're not going to do anything to do any additional billings in the fashion that sadly they went out by TBS, as you know, to get rid of them.
Right, sure.
Or somebody.
I guess I really don't have confidence in our ability, competence to people that have paid their bills to get the credits that they're supposed to get. I mean, we've had so many issues over the last year since I've been in office with these water bills. First it was residential, now it's commercial. And I don't have any confidence in us being able to get this right with the people.
And I think that's a correct no confidence vote. So I think part two of that is because we're changing systems, let's talk a little bit, Ms. Osborne, about when the system would be integrated into the new, is sell the right word?
Sale is correct.
into the Cassell system so that appropriate credits could be done, and we have somebody new taking care of
Right.
credits.
And, she did a real good job of explaining to us how she had to input all the stuff over to Cassell. Miss Sarah, she had to put everything into Cassell, and she even showed me how Cassell works and how it will break that bill down for the residents and the businesses, where it'll say base rate X amount of dollars, your water rate or your sewer rate X amount of dollars. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to understand what's gonna happen here, and my confidence in us doing this correctly is real low.
And I guess that brings up one other point, and that would be that I think hopefully at your January meeting, that Sarah can be here. And when is the new system to be integrated and
March
supposedly?
1st.
I'm sorry.
March 1st, or is that what Ms. Betty said?
That's how I even
Assuming that to be true, then one of the issues we obviously going to have is, can we hand or individually accomplish the credit between now and March?
Well, one good thing is we're talking about a limited number. We're talking about 75 customers.
Based on the number of calls I got, I think if a customer doesn't get the credit, they're gonna let us know. I guarantee you they will. They were totally shocked at out of the clear blue sky. If we vote tonight and say we're gonna get a credit, I guarantee you they'll let us know if they don't get that credit. I think we have to
Sure.
sure of that, so
And then is it our job to
stay on.
come up here
No, it's our
Correct.
job, it's our job to send them to Mr. Osborne.
Well, in part two of that, though, I think one of the things you may want to do for the minutes and for a report in January would be if there's 75, have Ms. Hefty identify that, see how many of them paid, going back to your point. I mean, if those have not been paid, let's don't take that payment, because the moratorium goes into effect if you adopt it tonight. And then let her provide you a report about the 75 that Mr. Osborne says and how the credit's working, because the word I was looking for a while ago, I assume you can manually try to accomplish that before the system gets integrated in March.
I'm understanding, that's, kind of did, I guess, but I foresee us cutting business customers off because they're not paying this bill. And I want to assure that kind of stuff's not gonna happen. I guess that directed right at Mr. Osborne. We don't need businesses who decided not to pay their $300 water bill to somehow get slipped through the cracks and have their water shut off on them. And I feel like that would happen if we don't stay on top of it.
Ms. Walker.
Can we just do just a real short recap? We've had 3 people to come in since you mentioned that they wouldn't be having to pay that $300 water bill. They issued credit. Just a real short recap. We've got 3 that I don't know if they understand what.
Okay, can everybody in the back of the room hear me? Normally I'm too loud, so it's normally not a problem. What we were talking about a while ago, and we'll talk about 2 categories. If you haven't paid your new incorrectly computed water and sewer bill, don't pay it. Because I assume what we're fixing to do here is a moratorium on that, and so you would not pay that bill, all right? Number 2, if you have already paid the bill, then there will be a credit. If you'll go back and look at last month's bill, there'll be a credit that you will be due from last month's bill. We'll go back to what Martin said. If your bill was 40 and now all of a sudden it's 300, you got what I was saying a while ago is a $260 credit. Part 3, I guess, of the discussion is how are you going to know that we're not going to continue with this being a problem in the future? And so our chief financial officer will be here at the January meeting, identify what's been done to appropriately apply the credit. And I hope that will cover things, and I hope that answers the public's and your question.
Thank you for doing that.
Yes, sir.
Got a motion by Mr. Bracknell, second by Mr. Simmons. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. Update staff report concerning City of Temple water and sewer revenues and expenditures, Mr. Osborne.
I provided, you got in front of you a memo that says water and sewer financial update for 2016 fiscal year. Ms. Hefty and I have been working on this over the last few days. As you will remember, next week, we have to make the big bonded indebtedness payment to Bank of New York Mellon Trust Company, $508,775, which you can see in the third paragraph, a breakdown on that. And of course, we had paid the mid-year interest payment of $113,775, total of $622,550. Basically, the recommendation that I'm asking you to approve, the two of them, you'll look down the paragraph here, the bottom says, it is the recommendation of Ms. Hefty and me that $622,550 in 2015 SPLOSH funds be transferred to the water and sewer fund, so these funds can be used to cover the 2016 payments to Mellon. If you remember in our discussions, it was felt like it was extremely important that we not let our water and sewer reserve fund get any lower than it is, which is right now right at $616,000. And in order to maintain that, which is we feel like will be advantageous as we try to work arrangements with the bank. But we still have to, next week, we've got a little over $500,000 that has to be paid. And if we can transfer 2015 SPLOSH funds in that to handle it, we're not talking about spending any additional money that we were already getting ready to spend to make the bank payment. We are talking about it coming from SPLOSH so that we do not touch your water and sewer reserves at the moment. Ms. Hefty also is, said that she would like very much if we could move $130,000 in general fund reserves into the water and sewer fund. Don't know that we will have a reason in the next few months to use that, but that would let us be in a position so that as we talk with the bank, our reserves that we could point to in the water and sewer fund would be, as you can see here at the bottom of the page, $687,783, which is the level of the reserves at the end of the 2015 calendar year, so that we would not have had those to go any lower. I would point out that from an operational standpoint, that our water and sewer operation fund in your general, from this past the fiscal year that we're ending up, that was operating fine. We ended up showing from Ms. Hefty that we had a deficit of about $35,000, but that was because of, and I think that will be handled by accounting when they get through with the year, because that basically was, you remember, we had to put extra money into dealing with repairs on the lift stations. So recommendation that to you is that I would request that we transfer $622,550 in 2015 SPLOSH funds and $130,000 general fund reserve funds to the water and sewer fund. Make that request, and somebody would need to make the motion to proceed with that.
We will have to have a motion to do that.
Individually of both.
I would suggest you do two motions.
We got to do it. We got to do it. I'll make that motion.
Motion, Mr. Bratton, to transfer.
The 622,542.
500 from SLOSS. Here a second. Then Mr. Simmons. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Okay, the second part, now that we need another motion.
All right. I need to ask you a question.
Yes, yes, it will.
Please, may I?
Yes, sir, you sure
All
can.
right, now, if this goes into reserve and we have something catastrophic happen, we can always move that reserve back and use it for that, right?
Yes.
This is not locking down something that's in a box somewhere we'll never be able to fix.
We require a budget amendment and a reason for the budget.
Gotcha. I'll make that motion.
Motion, Mr. Bratton wants to transfer the, what was it?
The reserve.
130,000
$130,000 to the reserve.
reserves. Second, Mr. Wall. Any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That's carried. Number 3, consider authorizing staff to prepare a request for proposal to be issued during the first week of January 2017 for the purpose of soliciting proposals from firms who are qualified to conduct water and sewer rate studies and or water and sewer fiscal operation audits with the deadline of receipts of such proposals being the last 7 days before the council regular meeting in February.
Does this require a motion?
As I say,
I make that motion.
motion, Mr. Brackett, to authorize the staff. Second by Mr. Simmons. Any discussion?
Does that cover both of them? We just need one motion now.
Yes, sir.
Got a question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Is this the same study that we just had done?
No, sir.
Same kind of thing that was just done last year?
No, sir. This will be a completely new study that's going to, as I kind of said earlier in the conversation, that will accomplish a complete revamping of your rate structure and why. It's going to be basically, and for the members of the public, there'll be basically 2 parts to that. Where are we with financing? That's one thing we hired a fellow to look at the last meeting. We got some financing that's coming up in the year 2020 we're going to deal with, as you know, between now and then. That's phase 1, but phase 2 is what should be the new rate structure and why. Where that hopefully within a period of a year or so, the enterprise fund, the water and sewer enterprise fund will pay for itself.
More discussion, yes, sir, Mr. Walton?
With an audit into the water, that would include the building and also meter reads and air reads.
Yes, I think so. And then one of the things, I think you brought this up when you were bringing the bills up last month, is I don't know if we're having much, what if they have a word for it in the water world about your water comes in the meter and it doesn't go out the meter. And that's, anyway, whatever it is, you're not accounting for all your water. So what kind of percentage do we have there, and do we have some problems there that we need to fix? So all of those things will be in the RFPs.
That's all I have.
More discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That's carried. Select the provider of workman's compensation coverage for city of calendar year 2017, Mr. Donovan.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, you have in your little booklet, the proposal that we received from your current carrier, Georgia Municipal Association, through GMABS. We also, a local firm that handles our liability property coverage, J. Smith Lanier, and we have a representative from J. Smith Lanier, President Taylor, who's here tonight. They had asked to submit a proposal also, and they did submit a proposal. We've given it to you. It's in this booklet here that each of you have. And I see Mr. Hagler walked in a minute ago. I know that, Mr. Mayor, in talking with you and also our attorney about this, but I know, Mr. Hagley did want to address you a minute, and then, we do need to decide what we want to do because our current coverage goes only through the end of the calendar year.
And who's Mr. Hackey with?
Jason Smith, Lydia.
Well, question for the attorney. So since we didn't advertise this and solicit other bids, it's not legal for us to discuss somebody just bringing in a bid, is it, without our advertisement?
That is a problem, yes, sir, number one. And we could take information from this company tonight if you want to do that. But number two, for his information and your information, if you're considering proposals for workers' comp or any other kind of insurance proposal, you're going to need to study that for quite a period of time because you've got your risk factors and analysis and things of this nature. And RFPs were not sent out, I gather, for workers' comp. Okay, this gentleman with Mr. Lanier, Jason Lanier, that they just sent a proposal.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, it's up to the mayor, the pleasure of the mayor and council as to whether you want to allow him to speak or you want to review his proposal. But just for your information, my recommendation to the mayor and council is they will have to continue with GMA through the GMEPS program for 2017. If there's a thought because of claims experience and cost that you want to put it out for bid, you use the mayor's words, that'd be something you need to consider along the middle of the year. But in fairness to J. Smith Lanier, you need to not provide anybody with this information and give them the opportunity to rebid if you decide to do that next year.
So do I hear a motion that we continue the workers' compensation with the GMA?
I make a motion.
Got a motion, Mr. Rockwell, here a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Walden, any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? It's carried. Okay. Thank you, Preston. All right.
Do I need to see these back with me, or?
I think that'd probably be
That, I don't know if you already looked through the pricing or not.
I did, but I forgot what it was.
I got you.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Thank you.
We on number 5 now.
Yes, sir.
Staff report concerning the provisions of the employee health insurance program in calendar year 2017. Mr. Osborne.
Yes, you do have in your packets, I had reported to you a month ago that because of all the uncertainty at the national levels with future health insurance and everything, that thought we should stick with Georgia Municipal Association where we've been for several years rather than testing the waters. And we do have a letter that I included in your packet from GMA saying that no action needs to be taken, that you're good to continue.
Okay, we hear a motion, we continue with the employees' health insurance with GMA.
Make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Brackett, here a second. Mr. Rockwell?
Simmons.
Simmons, okay. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's carried. Number 6, consider authorizing the use through March 31st, 2017 of each of the companies which are included in the Temple's 2014 list of approved contractors and vendors for various services, except those instances where the city council has changed to another vendor, contractor, or vendor currently being used. Mr. Osborne.
Yes, you next to the last tab, I just did a memo. As you know, when we had the situation a couple of weekends ago with the major water line, we did use Dean Grady, which happened to be on the list, but with change of staff, neither myself, nor your Public Works Director, was aware of the list. Now we, of course, know of it, and I've included, as part of your packet here, the first 3 pages from the ordinance that you adopted back in September 2014. And you can see the list of approved contractors and vendors. You have made a couple of changes, one being, of course, G, which is your city attorney. But after the first of the year, we want to take a comprehensive look at this procedure you have for procurement. We don't know that we'd make any changes, but it'll take a little while to do. And what we wanted to be sure is to be able to go ahead between now and the end of March to use, for example, Dean Grading and the other list of vendors that you haven't replaced back from 2014. Now, these have not done over the last couple of years what you were requiring, namely an annual renewal that you can see on the next page, and we will be working with them to get the annual renewal, but this would let us have those that we could call on for the next 3 months until you update your ordinance and decide who you want to have included.
But basically, there's a procedure for adding new vendors to that ordinance, correct?
Correct.
So that, I mean, in authorizing it, what would we be authorizing? The mechanism is there to have them on there. Is it the fact that we have it's out of date, or why would we be passing a motion?
Well, and that would be up to you to decide. It's, from my standpoint, I'm just not sure that if we were to go out, for example, next week and do Dean Grading, if they have complied with what we need them to comply with under your the ordinance, and this would simply give us a little time while we work through all of that.
I don't want us using anybody that doesn't meet the requirements.
No, well, I mean, if the council has a list and it needs to be upgraded, then Mr. Hoffman needs to get that upgraded.
Right. I mean, but there's a procedure there if we need to put somebody on the list. It's a real simple procedure. Make sure they got license, make sure they got insurance, those
Come
kind
up
of
and
things.
fill out the appropriate paperwork.
Right, and they're on there, and anybody that's on there probably
Used to.
could do that anyway. But I don't think we need to authorize something that's already authorized by ordinance. Am I right or wrong?
Well, I think the concern is that from a record-keeping standpoint, you don't have a current list, Ms. Austin.
We've got the names from the ordinance, but for the last 2 to 3, at least the last couple of years, to the best of my knowledge, has not been in compliance in providing the information.
We've updated the list. They haven't updated the list. We have the list, but the council, I guess in that ordinance, said you need to come and update the list every so often, and it hasn't been done.
They're supposed to, ma'am,
Yes, sir.
they're supposed to come in and just verify that they still have insurance, they still have a license. You know, if it's an electrician, we want them to have a license, we want them to have insurance, protect us. So if they come up here and they do something that goes wrong, somebody gets hurt, they're liable for it. And there is a procedure of how you get on that list. It's not like we just say, hey, we're going to put an exclusive little list in here. Anybody who wants to do the work for the city can go through the process to be on that list.
Then I think the answer to the question is, you've got an ordinance in place, I think as the mayor said, but because they're not in active compliance, let's put it that way, I think you need to determine a date, like for example, the end of January, you send a notice to everybody on the list, not in active compliance, comply with the requirements you're just talking about. And if you do that, then you're going to be on the approved list. Failing that, you're going to be taken off. So I think that's all you would do is just, I don't think it requires a motion. I think the minutes just need to reflect
That's what we want.
that that's what you want, and that'll be the official action to be taken by the city of Richmond.
Everybody okay with that?
And that will be through what day? Didn't you say March 31st?
Or whatever date that we mentioned was made in January.
I would think if folks would be able, you know, it's not a big item of compliance. I think they'd be able to do that by the end of January.
30 days.
You know, I'd hate for you to be in a situation that is continuous, so I think the end of January ought to be plenty of time.
Everybody okay with that? Okay, Mr. Johnson?
Now, the minutes will reflect that. Yes, sir.
Jonathan, give them a notice out to them and tell them to come get theirs. Okay, item number 7, consider approving an agreement for certain accounting and fiscal services to assist transferability of related services from Parish TBS to Casell, signed by the mayor and the secretary.
This is your last item, and we brought it up last week, but to give you more information, this is to compensate Ms. Hefty for the additional work, and I have spelled out what this was for. This completes the additional work. If we hadn't had done with her, we would have had to pay Casell probably a bit more, but that takes care of it. Also did include near the end of it some concerns that the Villa Rica City manager had concerning the amount of time that they were providing under our intergovernmental agreement. And I told them, well, once we get implementation done, I think we can be within the hours that we were anticipating under the intergovernmental agreement. But what I do need at this time, Mr. Mayor, is we can approve moving forward to for you and Ms. Hefty to sign this agreement so she would be paid, and we would know that that completes the extra work.
Anybody got any questions? Mr. Crawford?
Yeah, I spent some time reading this, and we have this intergovernmental agreement where we're paying Villa Rica approximately $7,000 a month. Is that close to ballpark? For services. Apparently it's 20 hours of service for Ms. Hefty and then 20 hours for Mr. Watts for our code enforcement. And I'm looking at these dollar amounts, and I don't know if the City of Villa Rica is paying Sarah $50 an hour or not. That's the rate we're being billed, $50 an hour. She just is, I guess my question is, Sarah's an employee of the City of Villa Rica, is that correct?
Yes.
And she's got us billed 1 week where she worked her regular 40-hour week. She worked 20 for Villa Rica, 20 for Temple, then she spent 40 hours at home working on our stuff. And then she spent another week, well, there's 2 invoices with the same date, so that would mean on top of her 40-hour work week, she spent 73 hours working on our stuff, rate of $50 an hour. And then another week, an additional 63 hours at $50 an hour. So I guess my question is, the $7,000 a month that we're paying the City of Villa Rica is supposed to cover all the services that we're paying them for.
2 points really. What you got on the invoices, those are not the work done during a particular week. That was work done for a particular task that went over and I've identified in the memo the 3 tasks. So this was not a week's work. This may have been done over a period of several weeks. The other is that what we have with the City of Villa Rica on the intergovernmental agreement basically is an operational agreement, and what we have with Casell, in addition to the current operations, is to basically install the changeover to the system. So that's not, if she had not done this, we would have been paying Casell to do it.
At what rate?
It would have been more than $50 an hour.
I just assumed that all the work she was doing was part of what we were already paying her. And according to your memos, it wasn't an issue until David Milliron decided to start saying, oh, well, she's putting in more than 20 hours for the city of Pendleton. So I guess it kind of just took me off guard, because I know Ms. Hefty's been doing a lot of work for us. She showed us the work that she's been doing. I just assumed that was all included in what we were already paying for. So this is quite a surprise to me to see these invoices for all this. Like I said, I don't know if the city of Villa Rica paid you $50 an hour or not, but it's what we're getting billed on top of what we're already paying. So I guess I'm questioning our deal with Villa Rica.
Yes, sir. If you remember, we had a contract with Mrs. Hefty to do this, and Strasburg and New Millard, and he wanted to do that, and the council approved the transfer, going with Villa Rica for these services. I understand exactly what you're saying, sir. In the meantime, we have got to get this switch over from Harris to Casale. And I don't know the answer, if they sent us the deal where $5,000 server was gonna do it, and they needed another one, and we approved them another one, here. This city needs to get rid of Harris TBS in some way. And, Mr. Brackley.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't this on one of the workshops where she ran down exactly what was taking place to try to get the 5 years worth of records that we have to have, what she's having to go through with this Harris business. I don't think this bill reflects Ms. Hefty. I mean, she's working in honest days and then having to do more. If I remember her discussion correctly, it's taken her an inordinate amount of time just to get the data from TBS and then to get it into a form that can go into Casale. Because Harris is so antiquated that it doesn't work with anything. So I think that's am I right? What the explanation
Sounds correct to me. We had this trouble we have had ever since I've been back, trouble with them. We had the water meter guy, I forget his name, come up here, and he told me that day when we were at City Halls over there that there was only 3 people in this state that could work on Harris's billing system. And one, I think, seemed like was in Lithia Springs, one was in Perry, I don't forget where the other one. Then he proceeded to want to say, well, we've had turnover. And I stopped and whoa, wait a minute, it can't be both. Turnover, you just told me there wasn't but 3 people and neither one of them worked here. So it's been a problem. Man, I long for the day that I can sign the last check for Harris TBS. And so this is what's before y'all tonight.
Did we,
Yes, sir.
I thought that we had already approved this. I thought that was part of what we did.
I don't know that we approved.
You talked, but you didn't take it.
But we didn't take any action.
That's
So
all you do.
this will, now, does this cover everything to get it out, TBS, and to get it in Casale? Or are we going to come back with additional bills, or do you know?
It's my understanding from Ms. Hefty that insofar as any additional bills, this is it. She had previously said that it would not exceed 7,000, and this is a 6,800, and she said that takes care of it. Now, there still is transition work being done, but she has now sent to them all of the work on these applications that you're being billed for.
Sir?
But when we get finished, if we have somebody who knows what we're doing, you're doing it, rather than hiring an IT person, we should come out ahead of the game, correct?
We should.
Well, once it's completed, the council may wanna look at how much we're paying Bill Ricker and see if we wanna hire our own, financial director,
Well, you know, like I say, she's done it, she presented it, she told us how much work was going into it, the hours was going into it. To be able to get it done by somebody who knows both the old system and the new system and knows our finances. It's a lot of money.
Yes, sir, Mr.
The
Simmons.
kind of money that will be paying us, we might be able to get our own.
That was what I was just saying, but I don't think tonight we need to be looking hiring our own. You know, we need to get this thing,
I make a motion, we do it.
Mr. Simmons, I got a motion after
Well,
you get
I
through.
said, we need to look at it.
Exactly. Once we get converted over here, then we can look at the intergovernmental agreement that we have with Bill Ricker on one hand, like Mr. Rockwell, that, you know, I heard him saying, you know, a deal's a deal, contract's a contract, you know, and we have, you know, with them, and I'm not really too sympathetic with Bill Ricker right now. This has turned out to be a big project, and I think possibly Bill Ricker did not understand that we needed somebody really full-time at the time to get our stuff switched over to this new system. And then there again, you know, they're big boys. You know, they presented us a deal, the council went for it, so. But on the other hand, you know, we have got to get this stuff switched over to Casale and get rid of Harris TVS. Any more questions, sir? Mr. Rockwell?
Just, you know, I'm not trying to discount the work that Sarah's done. I guess, was confused and thought that our contract covered all this work.
Sir. Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Brackman. State your motion again, sir.
I'd like to say, pay these invoices.
To enter into an agreement with Ms. Hefty for this extra service for the amount set forth in the invoices. That would be your motion.
That's my motion.
Your second. Second by Mr. Wallen. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I do understand everybody's concern, but as I recall, we had contracted with Ms. Hefty for $50 an hour before we ever got tied up.
That's exactly correct,
So
sir.
we need to honor that. So,
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That's carried. Item number 8, consider potential settlement for a litigation matter, Mr. Gray.
That's all.
Is all?
Yes, sir.
But what I'd like to know about number 8, sir, is there a proposal in writing on a possible settlement?
But no, sir, not presently. We're working on that now. And hope to have that proposal, hope to have it by tonight. But one of the lawyers got sick and just got out of the hospital.
Will the entire council and mayor be able to see this proposal before it is signed and documented?
Yes, sir.
It will be presented before the entire council?
Yes, sir.
Any more questions? Your motion will adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Mr. Brackman.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Simmons. Any discussion?
You know, this is something Where? He had something.
Was he on the agenda?
I never heard of it.
Sir. Okay. See you later. Thank you, Dwayne.
The meeting, last week, from the meeting, I was supposed to come back and give you guys the prices so we can select a
I was
spec.
supposed to be tonight.
Yep, it was supposed to be tonight.
Wasn't included in what we had presented to the mayor for the call.